Hey everyone, this is David here from SheetsFinance. In this next part of our Getting Started series, we're going to look at generating daily and intraday time series in Google Sheets and then plotting the results. The SheetsFinance extension gives you access to over 30 years of daily time series data and 3 months of intraday data down to 1-minute intervals. So let's get started. In cell A1, I'm going to type in the stock that I'm after, in this case, Apple. I'm going to highlight a new cell, A2, and that's where we're going to generate our time series data. I'll head to the extensions drop-down menu and open the function generator to help us build the function. On the right-hand side, I'll type in the cell that has my stock code in it, which is A1, and then I'm going to choose time series. And straight away up here in the function display, we can see that formula being built for you. And the formula we're working with now is called SF_time series. For the period, I'm going to choose to start with daily. I'm going to display all of the metrics, and then I'll head to the start time and we'll take it back to January 2019, for example, up until today. And as of the date of this video, that's the 12th of September, 2023. And I'll click generate. And you'll see over here in A2 on the left-hand side, that formula SF time series has been inserted for us automatically. We could have written it directly, but it's a lot easier just to select the options in the function generator and have it generated for us. So first up, I'm just going to reformat this first column just to show the date, not the date and time. So I'll head to here and I'll say date because it's a daily time series. And then really simply, we can highlight all of these cells, head to insert and click chart. And we'll just remove a few items from our series on the right-hand side that we don't need. We'll change our chart to a stacked combo chart. And for our volume, we'll put that on the right-hand axis. Unadjusted volume can go there as well. And it looks like open is columns, so we'll turn that into lines. Now, the first thing we're going to notice, I'll turn our volumes into columns because that's what we're used to seeing. So the first thing we'll notice on our graph is it is backwards. It is beginning up here in row 4 and heading downwards and generating the graph in the opposite direction. So we'll head back up to cell A2 where we generated the function. We'll head to our function generator and we'll turn on this reverse option down the bottom just to flip around the time series and put it in descending order. And we'll click generate. And because the chart is still referencing that same area in our spreadsheet, it should also reload with exactly the same formatting. And there you have it. We have the volume on the right-hand side, and we have a combination of open, high, low, and close every day just plotting in this direction. And so this is essentially the graph for Apple over the last 4 years. We can, of course, extend that back a number of years. So if I stay here on cell A2 and I now change the start date back to, let's just say, 2007, and I regenerate that graph. And there you have it. That is now 10 years of time series data available to you in Google Sheets, and you'll see it also includes things like the daily change and change percentage and the VWAP. Great. We will have a quick deep dive into what that function looks like. The SF time series function takes 6 arguments. First, it's the stock, then it's the start date, the end date, the period. In this case, if it's left blank, it'll default to daily rather than intraday. For instance, 1 minute, 1 hour, and so on, which I'll show you in the next part of this video. Then the metrics you'd like to display, and then options. And in this case, we've got the option of the negative or descending bar there to ensure that the time series displays in the order that we would like. As always, with all our functions, you can then chain together what metrics you're after. For instance, you might just want date and close as a much simpler graph. I can click enter on that. And there, quite simply, that graph will reload, and we're only displaying the date and close for Apple over the last 10 years. So that's daily data. Let's move to intraday. In this case, I'm going to head back to cell A2. And how about we just delete this function entirely, and we head back to the function generator over here. Now again, our stock is still in cell A1, so we leave that the same. We head to the time series. We now choose a period, for instance, 1 minute intervals. We can then select as many metrics as we like. Let's start with all. We know now we probably want to reverse it so that we can graph it correctly. And then let's generate. Okay, great. There's our data on the left-hand side. Our chart, I'll just move across, and it probably needs slight adjustment. We will head to the volume series and we'll put it on the right-hand axis. We then might need to actually change that vertical axis to be between about 165 and 185 is fine. And there you have it. I'll just reformat column A to have date and time data. And you can see you can work with this as much as you'd like, and you can refine it further. This is just a very initial overview of how it works. But as you can see, as I run my mouse over this data, you can see we have 1 minute price data for Apple over the last 2 to 3 months. So you can narrow this down as much as you'd like. And as always, if we head back to cell A2, we can select as many metrics as we'd like. So we could say date, close, and volume only, and not open, high, and low. And that will reload. And again, it might just need a little bit of additional formatting when it reloads. So we'll head to that series, volume, and we'll put it on the right-hand axis. And we'll turn it into columns. So one last important example of generating time series data using the SheetsFinance extension is tracking the performance of a stock or other financial asset over the last X days or months or year, and building out more dynamic functions that reference today so that when you open your spreadsheet, the data is correct to that day. So for this example, I'm going to delete the function entirely in cell A2. I'm going to choose an amount of days. So I'll create a days header up here. And then in C1, I'm going to enter the number of days, being 30, for example. In cell A2, let's just type the function directly. So SF underscore time series, it'll pop up for you. So I'll click enter. And at any time, you can click this question mark to get help with the formula. So it'll show you what you need. So I want the ticker cell. That is cell A1. I then want the start date. Well, in this case, I'm going to go today minus a certain amount of days. So I'll close this to get out of the way, and I'll select that number in cell C1. So we're going to start at today minus 30 days, comma, and then I'm going to enter today as the end date. So it'll always be referenced to the day you open the spreadsheet. Then for the fourth argument, I'm going to leave that blank. I could write daily, but leaving it blank is exactly the same. I want all the metrics, and we know that putting it in descending order by entering that reverse sign will display correctly on our graph, and I'll close that function off. There you have it. That is the last 30 days of time series data for Apple. And this is now relative to today. So if I open this spreadsheet tomorrow, the entire graph will update to be the last 30 days relative from tomorrow. I can also, of course, now edit this number of days down to, for instance, 10 days. And that will quickly update to reflect the last 10 days of data. And I can extend this out to 90 and as far back as 30 years worth of days if you really wanted to do that. So you can see quite quickly you can have a dynamic or interactive charting system for daily historical data as well as intraday data. I'll leave it there for now, but leave any comments or questions below, and I'll catch you next time.